AMC Rambler Marlin, the Lovechild of audacity and excess. The AMC Rambler Marlin. Just saying its name conjures images of a car-shaped enigma that somehow escaped from the wild imagination of an over-caffeinated designer. First hitting the streets in 1965, the Marlin was AMC's way of telling the world we can be just as mad as the big boys. This wasn't just a car, it was a statement, a declaration of intent wrapped in sheet metal and chrome. At first glance, the Marlin looks like someone took a regular car and tried to turn it into a streamlined aquatic creature halfway through the design process. The nose is long and traditional, but the rear end, dear Lord, the rear end is bulging, swooping, and curved like a wave about to crash. It's as if Salvador Dali decided to design cars instead of persistently tripping on LSD. Let's talk power because the Marlin had it in spades, sort of. Under the hood, your entry-level option was an inline-six that probably had the same energy as a siesta-loving tortoise. But the fun began when you opted for the 327 cubic inch V8, a lump of iron that turned this otherwise lazy cruiser into a proper boulevard brawler. It didn't make it a Corvette killer, mind, but it gave you enough grunt to embarrass any miscreant who dared challenge you at the lights. Now, driving the Marlin? Well, that's an experience. This isn't a precision instrument. It's more like a sledgehammer. The steering is as vague as a politician's promise, and the suspension makes you feel like you're riding on a cloud. A very lumpy cloud that's been drinking heavily. But all its quirks just add to its charm. This isn't a car you drive because it's the best handling. It's a car you drive because you want to announce your presence with authority. Inside, the Marlin is a curiosity shop of 1960s, Americana.del. Vinyl seats as wide as most living rooms, a dashboard filled with more chrome than a rock star's trophy shelf, and enough space to host a small party. The rear seats, with their vast expanse of legroom, look fit for royalty, or, at the very least, a group of very flexible contortionists. The Marlin wasn't just about looks and luxury. It dipped its toes into the performance pond as well. AIM here to position it as a sporty fastback coupe, a rival to the likes of the Mustang and the Barracuda. It even had a few turns on the racetrack, though calling it a competitive racer might be a stretch. Think of it more as a grand dame, who occasionally totters down to the village fêtes egg and spoon race, not likely to win, but adding a touch of class all the same. Of course, we can't forget its most controversial feature, the roofline. It slopes down to the rear in a sweeping, flowing manner that either fills you with joy or sends you into fits of rage. There's no middle ground. Some say it's inspired, others say it looks like a banana that's been left in the sun too long. But love it or hate it, you can't ignore it. The Marlin is a car that dared to be different. In a world of mundane sedans and cookie-cutter coupes, it stood out like a peacock in a pigeon coop. It was bold, brash, and wonderfully weird. Sadly, it was also a bit too ahead of its time. By 1967, the Marlin faded into the annals of automotive history, overshadowed by more conventional offerings. So, here's to the AMC Rambler Marlin, a car that didn't just march to the beat of its own drum, but practically invented a whole new genre of automotive jazz. Unique, audacious, and oh so unforgettable. If you enjoyed this dive into automotive eccentricity, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Autoicons. There's plenty more wild rides and motoring tales to come. Click the bell icon so you never miss an update.